بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. So tonight inshallah we're going to take the fiqh of the Hajj, that is the pillars of Hajj and the Waajibaat of Hajj. So we took the method of Hajj completely. Now we need to learn what is the minimum of those things. So we said, for example, spending all the time at Arafah, spending the whole night at Muzdalifah, for example. What if you reach late? What if you don't reach? What if you reach? What if you're not able to stay? What's the minimum you need to do? We already spoke on the maximum. We spoke on the maximum. So now what that means is that we're going to mention A, B, C, D, this is the pillars. D, E, F, that's the wajibat. Everything else is sunnah. Everything else is sunnah. So you need to do the pillars. You didn't do the pillar, your Hajj is not valid. The wajib, if you didn't do it, then there's a penalty. You will slaughter an animal. You slaughter an animal. And if you did not do a sunnah, then your reward gets less. If you intentionally did not do the sunnah that you knew of, then the reward will be less. That's how it will work. So your Hajj will be valid. So what are the pillars of Hajj? Number one, the first pillar of Hajj is to stand at Arafah. The first pillar of Hajj is to stand at Arafah. So to stand at Arafah, Arafah, usually what happens in Islam, the night comes first, then the day. That's what usually happens. We say Ramadan, when does it start? We start Taraweeh the night before, and then the day. Arafah, it's in reverse. Arafah, it's in reverse, specifically for those people who are at Hajj. There, the day comes first, then the night comes. The day comes, then the night. So Arafah, for the people at Hajj, it doesn't end at sunset. It doesn't end at sunset. It ends when Fajr comes in the next morning. It ends when Fajr comes in the next morning. And for the people who are not at Arafah, it ends when? At sunset. So therefore, the people at Hajj, what happens? That means that now your time starts from Zawal. From Zawal to Fajr. From Zawal to Fajr, if you just find yourself in Ihram and you are sane in your head and you're not unconscious. So you're not insane and you're not unconscious and you're not drunk. Even if you are in hayd, even if you are asleep, if you are found at Arafah, if you are found, even if you didn't intend to be in Arafah, but you passed Arafah, even for 1 second, your Hajj is counted. Arafah is ticked off. Not your Hajj is counted, the tawaf remains, but your Hajj is counted. So that's what Arafah is. So you need to just do that minimum and your Hajj will be counted. That's why people who get sick, for example, they need to go to the hospitals or something, the ambulance sometimes brings them to Arafah on the stretcher or something and takes them out. Because once they've just ticked that off, the Arafah is done. Then the tawaf can happen when? Anytime, when they're better. But the Arafah, it will go. If the next morning comes and you've not stood at Arafah, your Hajj is gone. You have to go to the Haram and do Umrah. You have to complete your Umrah, Tawaf and Sa'i, and cut your hair, and you have to do Hajj Qadha next year. So that's what will happen. So that's what the minimum of Arafah. Then we said that you stay at Arafah until sunset. But you need to, if you come in the day to Arafah, then you need to at least spend a part of the day and the night in Arafah. So if you've come in the day and you've left, then you have to come back at night, any time at night. And then there's no penalty on you. There's no penalty on you. If you came in the night only, then your Hajj is done. No problem, no penalty. If you came in the day only and you didn't stay until sunset and you didn't come back at night by Fajr, then you have to pay a penalty for leaving off the wajib. Okay, so the pillar is to stay at Arafah, is to come to Arafah, just pass by. The wajib is to spend a portion of the day and the night if you came in the day. And if you only came at night, then you just have to, for 1 second you're at Arafah, you can have. That's with regards to Arafah. So that's the first rukn of Hajj. The second rukn of Hajj is your tawaf. Your tawaf. That tawaf on day 10. And we mentioned in the dars of the remaining actions of day 10, along with day 11, 12, 13, we mentioned what to do for a lady who's in hayd. That tawaf, what she has to do there. So that tawaf is a pillar of Hajj. You have to do that tawaf, and we mentioned also in that same lecture that if you haven't done it on the day, then you have to do it before you leave. And then that farewell tawaf will be included in this one. This will count as a farewell tawaf as well. But you have to intend for the tawaf of Hajj. So that's your two main pillars. That's your two pillars of Hajj. The rest is a wajibat. So the minimum Hajj is very simple. It's very simple. That's all you need to do. Then the wajibat of Hajj. The wajibat number one is your ihram from the miqat. Whether ihram or not specifically from the miqat, from wherever you have needed to have worn the miqat, the ihram. So if you are in Mecca, There's no penalty on you. The other ones, if they passed the miqat, then they would have pay a penalty if they didn't wear the ihram at the miqat or where they should have worn it. So that's your first one. The second one is to stay at Arafah until the night, sunset comes, if you've come in the day. And otherwise, just to be there at night. That will become a pillar now. Because if you didn't do that, there's no penalty, you've missed your Hajj. If you didn't come in the day and you didn't come at night. So if you didn't come in the day, coming at night becomes a pillar. Is the pillar, sorry. Okay, then the next one is to stay at Muzdalifah until half the night. So if you've reached Muzdalifah before half the night, you have to stay there until by the hour you reach the second half, then you can leave. If you've left before half the night, then you have to pay the penalty of leaving a wajib. Unless you have a reason to go, like you are ill or something like that. You are ill or really elderly, you really can't stay there or something, then you can leave before half the night. Or you have work, or you're part of the security or something, then you can leave before half the night. Otherwise, you have to stay until half the night. If you haven't come by half the night, and you come in the second half of the night, then it's enough to just come and leave. If you haven't come until Fajr strikes, you haven't reached Muzdalifah at all, then you've left out this wajib. Now, if you didn't come for no reason, there's two situations. No reason you didn't come and valid reason that you didn't come. If there's a valid reason that you didn't come, most of the time the valid reason that's most of the time acceptable is because you couldn't reach. There's too much of traffic, so you couldn't reach. And sometimes it takes hours to come, especially if you're in the buses. So now they say in this case that the wajib falls, but there's no penalty because you are excused in totality. And you are in the traffic, so it's as if it's connected as well, like the Mina situation we mentioned in the previous lesson. So that's how it would work. So if you didn't make it for a valid reason, mainly the main reason is because of traffic, and you are stuck in traffic, then it counts as if you are there, you've left off the wajib, but there's no penalty on you. But if it's another reason that you've not come, that you've not managed to come to Muzdalifah, then you have to pay a penalty for leaving off the wajib. So it's those three situations. If reaching before half the night, you have to stay until half the night. If you've come after half the night, then it's enough just to step in and step out. If you've come after Fajr, from Fajr onwards, then valid reason, mainly which is traffic, no penalty, and you're okay. And if you are not traffic, most other reasons, then you have to pay a penalty for leaving off the wajib. Then the next one that we said is Muzdalifah, and also to stay at Mina for those 3 nights. And we mentioned in the previous dars of these 3, how to spend these nights there, the duration, and also if Mina is full, what to do. We mentioned it there. Then the next wajib of Hajj is to pelt. And all the pelting we mentioned counts as one. So if you didn't do it on the one day, you do it on the next day. And we mentioned if you missed one day or some of the pelting or all of the pelting, what's the penalty? We mentioned it there. So that's how it would work there. And then the last pillar of Hajj is, or the second last or the third last one, actually is to cut the hair. Or to shave the hair, in the manner that we mentioned for male and female. Then the second last one is sa'i. Sa'i is wajib of Hajj. It's a wajib of Hajj. If you didn't do the sa'i intentionally, you have to pay the penalty and you'd be sinful. Unintentionally, then you pay the penalty and no sin. Then the last wajib of Hajj is the farewell tawaf. Just before you leave, the last thing you do is tawaf. And if you didn't do it and you've left already in a way that you can't come back, then you have to pay a penalty. If you've left Mecca and traveled distance, and then you come back, then you have to pay. Then if you've traveled distance, in fact, let's not go to the details there. Do the tawaf. Then we don't need to go into the fiqh. That's the point there. And the rest of the things, they are sunnah. And for Umrah, then your pillars of Umrah are what? Your pillars of Umrah is your ihram in the manner we mentioned, mainly to be in ihram. And the other one is tawaf. And sa'i is from the Waajibaat of Umrah, as well as wearing the ihram in the place where you had to wear the ihram, and also cutting the hair. Cutting the hair is from the Waajibaat of Umrah. And then that's with regards to that. So if you've left off a wajib, whether with an excuse or no excuse, or ignorantly or not ignorantly, except in those 2 situations I mentioned of Mina and Muzdalifah, then you have to pay the penalty. What is the penalty? Is to slaughter an animal. To slaughter an animal, you can go on websites online that will cover, they will do the job for you in Mecca and distribute it how it should be distributed. Otherwise, you can go to in front of the Haram. There's a few buildings, but you can go to, for example, Zamzam right in front of the Haram, and then there's booths there that take charity and things like that. So you can go to them and explain to them that you've left off a wajib in Hajj, or you did something haram in your ihram, and can they slaughter the animal for you, and they will sort that out for you, the getting it slaughtered and distributed to the people it needs to, and then you'd pay the money there. That's how it would work. That's how it would work. If you've left off a pillar of Hajj, if you've left off Arafah, there's no way of getting it back. You have to go to Umrah, you have to go to the Haram and do Umrah to get out of your Ihram. If you've left off the Tawaf, then you are not out of Ihram, and then you have to do it at any point in your life. It doesn't fall, but your Hajj will not be valid. We'll stop. There's a few details there, but that's enough for it. So that's basically what with regards to that. The sunnah we mentioned, if you left it off intentionally for no reason, you lose a reward. That's it. No penalty, no nothing. And if you didn't do it for a valid reason, and you had the knowledge of it, inshallah you'll get the reward. So that's with regards to that. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to teach us that which benefits us and benefit us with that which He teaches us. Sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.